Broadcasting to you live from the Orion spiral arm of the Milky Way galaxy, the solar system planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, no longer California, Los Angeles to be pseudo-specific. My name is BrianEngelman. Today is Monday, October 6th, 2025, and this is the TNAM Daily Show here on the New American Media. TNAM stands for The New American Media. Thank you all for being here. It's still showing that a video is uploading. This is only an hour old. YouTube has gotten kind of glitchy, it seems. But we're here. Thank you all for watching. We're going to talk about ICE. We're going to talk about crime-ridden blue cities. We're going to talk about the Insurrection Act. We're going to talk about, well, the future of this country. What is it going to look like? There are forces at play who are actively attacking this country. You see it on a daily basis. Insurrectionists. It's interesting that the Democrats, they found that word and they wanted to gravitate toward that particular specific word about President Trump's supporters as Congress was trying to ram through what appeared to be an obviously illegitimate, untrustworthy election. You can say it's untrustworthy. And you're like, hold on a second. But what is the real insurrection? What is really happening in this country? Well, we're going to take a look at the news. We're going to dump it all onto the table and see what's what. So buckle up and join us today on the TNAM Daily Show. All right, let's get going.
Your guide to the truth, thenewamericanmedia.com.
Belly on up to the bar. Welcome, regulars. Thank you for being here on the TNAM Daily Show. Danette, what are you doing? You lost both of your single earbuds? I swear, we need to Amazon Danette a pair of earbuds. You can get them for like $20. I know we can. She keeps losing her ear. Then you need to get something with wires, with cables on. Goodness. Well, welcome. Hello, Marion. Hello, John. Hello, everybody else. Thanks for being here. Let's dump the news out on the table. We got Antifa. We got, where are we at? Portland, Chicago. Well, this one says federal police versus several black-clad Antifa domestic terrorist militants outside the ICE facility in Portland. And there's music, so I can't do the music. Finally making arrests against Antifa. There's music, but I will survive. But yeah, people are absolutely fed up with their cities being terrorized by these goofballs. So just start arresting them. It's not rocket science. Here's an Antifa thug spitting in a federal agent's face, says the Hodge twins. Let's watch the video.
You guys don't belong here! Go back to the fucking South where you belong! Fuck you! You are protecting pedophiles! You are protecting Get out of our city! Get out of our state! Get out of here, bitch! Get out of our state!
Oh, yeah. That's assault, brother. Spit in somebody's face. You damn right you take them out. I don't mean you end their life. You arrest them immediately. This is what you do. You get the most violent person, then the second most violent person, then the third most violent person. You just start arresting them. But you don't let them out within 12 hours. Like, you never let them out in 12 hours. The blue cities have turned these into revolving doors where there's no punishment, where people get arrested 50 times and they feel like there's nothing anybody can do to me. I guess I get to do whatever I want here. You don't have a right to spit in somebody's face like that. Yeah, Democrat domestic terrorists are gross. Here's Portland. Nick Sortur was once again attacked by Antifa thugs simply for walking down the public sidewalk near Ice Portland. They ripped my American flag, the one that I saved from being burned, out of my hands, but I was able to recover it. Why aren't there arrests being made?
Assaulted here, and we're live, right? We got it? Okay. So now we're gonna get assaulted. You're gonna be pushed. You're gonna be. Don't do that! Where'd it go? I don't know, man.
Dude's getting attacked. There need to be people to stop the physical assaults. This is going stupid places with stupid people winning stupid prizes. I'm telling you.
I've been neutral. I had to pick this up because I got. Yes, I have. I had to pick this up because I got robbed. Yes, I did. I got as much as I could. I didn't see it, and I was asking people what happened. I almost had somebody hold the camera until I saw there was medics there to help him.
You're saying Portland is an insurrection zone. Guy with the ginger beard is a paid agitator. Seen him in every video, says Chris.
Hey, there's an ambulance coming in. Get out of the middle of the street.
Been assaulted.
Yeah, but they're saying everything's fine in Portland. Nothing's going on over there.
Free speech isn't a free fall in Europe. There are
Let's check in on Europe, shall we? Let's check in on Europe.
two anti-free speech movements that have coalesced. Mm-hmm. One is in Europe, where it has laid waste to free speech. Germany, France, England. Free speech has been eviscerated. And also places like Canada.
Yeah, where's David Bann in the comments coming in from Ontario? Europe, Canada, free speech, it's all under assault. Like, there are global problems, and we need to kind of get our country set up the best way imaginable. are in a limited amount of time. We need to be moving fast, and all these delays, we don't have time for the delays. We have a million things to get corrected while we still can.
The U.S. anti-free speech movement began in higher education, then metastasized throughout the government. But this has all reached our shores now. The Berlin World Forum followed the remarks of Vice President Vance on free speech, and the EU was red hot. They gathered in Berlin, and it was the most anti-free speech gathering I've ever been part of. There's only two of us from the free speech community. And they are committed. And, you know, Hillary Clinton was there, and she really fueled the anger. I mean, she, when Twitter was purchased by Elon Musk, she called on the EU to use the infamous Digital Services Act, which is one of the most anti-free speech pieces of legislation in decades. And she called upon the EU to use the DSA to force the censorship of American citizens, force people like Musk to censor. It's an extraordinary act by someone who was once a presidential candidate in the United States. But they are committed to it. And after the World Forum, they further globalized this effort, and they are threatening companies like X with ruinous fines unless they resume censoring American citizens. Free speech is in a free fall in Europe. There are two
Act accordingly. I mean, Hillary, if she were in charge, I mean, we saw what the fake Biden regime did to people, with Obama pulling the puppet strings and his ilk pulling puppet strings. We are in a temporary pushback period. We have to yank the Overton window as far back to the other side of the 50-yard line as possible. Here's Nick Sortor talking about the Portland police, talking with Jack Posobiec.
Yeah, so they decided that that they could charge me with disorderly conduct in the second degree. And, you know, funny enough, we were pulled over on the side of the road in the cop car for an hour while they were trying to figure out what charge it would be. They were taking phone calls from superiors and stepping out of the vehicle to do so that I couldn't hear what they were talking about. Shady as hell. Shady as hell. And they get back in the car and then say, okay, yep, you're being charged with disorderly conduct in the second degree. And I'm like, okay, what exactly does that mean? What disorderly? You got to give me more of a description here. What was the event that led to me being charged with disorderly conduct? And they're like, well, it could have to do with three things. It could be either blocking the road, blocking the sidewalk, or getting in a fight. I said, okay, well, which one is it? And they're like, well, we don't actually know the answer to that question. So they were making it up as they went. And funny enough, ironically, Antifa is routinely doing all three of those things.
That's exactly what they all do.
On an hourly basis.
So Nick, before we go to that, then we got a couple of minutes left in this segment. And what was it like being in jail? I mean, the moment you get the handcuffs on you, I mean, it obviously must be very confusing. You comported yourself very well, by the way. You kept your composure. I know that wasn't easy, but you showed that discipline like someone who's been in the field as many times as you, because you know, right? Don't fight there, fight it out in court. What was the rest of your night like as they put you in the back of the car and brought you to the prison cell?
You know, even once I got to the jail, I was still thinking, okay, well, maybe they're going to be making a bunch of arrests, you know, because there are videos that are circulating from yesterday of people literally beating each other to a pulp in the middle of the road out there. So I was like, okay, well, you know, maybe this place is going to fill up, because it was mostly empty, of course, because they don't typically arrest people in Portland. So I was like one of very few people that were even in the jail. It was very quiet. Nobody else showed up. I mean, two other people showed up the whole night, and I didn't recognize either of them. So it's like, okay, who are they? What have they been arrested for? I didn't know, because they were two women, so they were put in a different section than I was. But so the two guys that were bloodying each other up in the middle of the street, you know, trying to fight each other, fighting other people, all the Antifa members that were stabbing people with umbrellas, because they have those pointy ends on them. They use them as weapons, right? None of them ended up in the jail. Nothing. So it's like, and then if you read back on the Portland Police Department's Twitter or X, they actually say that after the targeted arrest of me, they cleared the scene and left. So it's like, was the entire thing, was the entire point of them going to arrest me? Why did they just leave after that? It's not like the situation calmed down after I was gone. There's so many questions.
Wait. I want to be clear on this. I want to drill down on this. You're saying that it wasn't even necessarily your behavior and this scuffle with the flower bed and them pushing you down as you were leaving the situation. You're saying that you heard that it was a targeted arrest, meaning they may have been sent out to target you because of who you are and what you were doing?
They actually said that's their term. That's not my term. They said that publicly, that they made a targeted arrest. So that was referring to me. So I'm not throwing that term out. I'm not making it up. That's what they said. Yeah. So they decided that that they could charge me with disorderly conduct in the second degree. And funny enough, we were pulled over.
Anyway, the cities are working against the media, working against this administration, working against the American people. It's out of control. FBI and USCIS discovers the takeover in Minnesota, including terrorists, where nearly half of the immigrants are involved in either sham marriages, forged documents, or visa abuses.
Since September 19th, officers from our fraud...
We got a lot of stuff going on in this country right now, all at once.
Protection and National Security Directorate, working in teams, have conducted over 1,000 site visits across the Minneapolis-St. Paul area as part of this operation. What they found should shock all of America. Focusing on a list of over 1,000 target cases involving more than 900 individuals, our officers encountered blatant marriage fraud, visa overstays, people claiming to work at businesses that can't be found, forged documents, abuse of the H-1B visa system, abuse of the F-1 visas, and many other discrepancies. Over the course of the operation, our officers found indication of fraud, non-compliance, or public safety and national security concerns in nearly a little less than 50% of the cases interviewed. We found troubling patterns with the Uniting for Ukraine program that should have raised serious concerns under other administrations, such as an individual filing to sponsor more than 100 aliens, and organizations sponsoring hundreds. We are continuing to investigate these cases. Some of the other troubling cases that our officers found. In one case, officers identified an alien who had overstayed his visa waiver, who was the son of a known or suspected terrorist on the no-fly list. He had previously been found to have engaged in marriage fraud, which resulted in the denial of several immigration benefit requests. He was arrested and is now presently being returned to his country of origin. In another, an individual admitted to obtaining a fake death certificate in Kenya for just $100 to prove he was no longer married. In reality, his wife is alive, living here in Minneapolis, and is the mother of 5 of his children. And incidentally, he has another wife living in Sweden with whom he has an additional 3 children. In another case, an alien entered the United States without inspection in 2023, was released by Border Patrol. The alien married a U.S. citizen while in removal proceedings and was interviewed at the Minneapolis-St. Paul USCIS field office just last week, where both he and his American spouse stated under oath that their marriage was legitimate. The USCIS officers conducting the interview were suspicious. The site visits were authorized the same day. The American spouse ultimately that afternoon admitted the marriage was fraudulent and entered into solely for immigration purposes and withdrew her petition for that alien. This type of same-day action for interview, from interview to site visit, has really never happened before. And I am incredibly impressed. Since September 19th.
How many other cities do you think this is happening? All right. This investigator,
Okay.
I believe this person, George Webb, an investigative journalist, I believe he was out there investigating the Charlie Kirk situation, but I believe he was talking about the Dairy Queen, but my understanding is that the Dairy Queen that closed was a different location and not the one that allegedly showed the alleged shooter inside of. But let's take a look.
Okay, hello everyone, George Webb back at the ROTC house. There's the famous stairwell there in green, that column. There's the tunnel, that column. Just behind me is where the killer makes his escape, and also where the killer makes his approach. You may remember the house that was the ROTC practice house right over the hill behind me, that abandoned house where they were doing construction, and then the Russia house just beyond. Okay, so we're talking about the approach now, not the getaway, the approach. Remember that the guy has something in his leg that forces his knee not to bend, the Mauser, we think. But remember, it was a Mauser limp. Remember, he's limping, so it's not easy to walk, right? It's not easy to walk with this big gun there, big gun. So you're...
Because that's been a big part of the story. Disassembling the weapon, putting it back together, having the tool's on the roof, the gun's on the roof. No, the gun's in the... It's wrapped up in a blanket. No, I disassembled it, then put it down my leg and walked with a limp. And then, no, I put it together and then I left it. And then I sent a text explaining exactly where I left it. The story that we've been told is kind of confusing.
You're here at the house. You're here at the ROTC house. There's where you need to go, into the tunnel, and then into the column, into the stairwell. Okay? This is the short leg, if you will, of a right triangle. I'm standing here. Let's say I actually am coming from the other side of this house, but this is a close position. I am walking with an impeded leg. That is the closest place. Where's the last place you would walk? Where's the last place you would walk with this bad leg? Well, that's the TMZ house over this way. That's the TMZ house. And that's walking, right? That's walking this way. Right? That's walking this way. If you remember seeing the TMZ video, right? That's walking down from here. It's walking down from here and over this hill. But he could have just come right through here and gone right down there, right?
Yeah. Then there's the other story saying that he always had the limp.
He makes the TMZ walk to be on television twice. Again, you don't do things like this unless you're trying to be on the TMZ video. He goes down the TMZ video, goes down out to this street named 800, and here's my walk that should have happened. Remember, this makes no sense. He's coming right around the corner of that ROTC building. He should have just come this way, right? He's got a little bit of exposure, a little bit, but not much. He only goes by no residential houses, right? And now he's in like Flynn. Instead, he makes this choice to go the hypotenuse, right, of that triangle, right? This is 800, and this is, of course, where Phil Lyman lives. This is Phil Lyman, would-be governor from... Okay, hello, everyone. George Webb back at the ROTC house.
You know, they got rid of Lee Harvey Oswald pretty quickly. Are they going to be able to protect this guy? Do they even want to protect this guy? Do you think he's even the guy? Do you think that the shooter that has been identified is actually the person that did it? If you want your mind to be blown, check this out. Here's Caitlin Collins of CNN. Apparently, she really hates it when people share this video of when she was at Daily Caller as a blogger who wrote negative stories about George Soros and BLM. Do you remember this?
Open Society Foundation has given over $500,000 to Black Lives Matter because they want to be able to support Black Lives Matters as it grows. They're worried, that they won't know how to grow properly, and they want to help them dismantle structural inequality. That was in one of the memos that was released in the data dump.
What does that mean?
They basically want to help Black Lives Matter further their agenda. And I think it's an issue also that the Democratic Party needs to address because so many Democrats have openly endorsed Black Lives Matter. And now that we see that this guy who is funding Hillary Clinton is also funding Black Lives Matter, that's a problem, and that's something that Americans should be aware of.
Absolutely. Thanks for bringing it to our attention. Caitlin Collins from the Daily Caller, thank you very much.
It's open to...
It's pretty interesting. I don't remember that phase at all. I remember her being a CNN spokesperson. Update on Dr. Jordan Peterson. This is his daughter.
Hey guys, I have an update on my dad. I'm actually just going to read this. It's on my teleprompter because this is too hard to explain off the cuff, so I wrote it out. This summer has been exceedingly difficult. Dad was in an ICU suffering from pneumonia and sepsis after dealing with a host of neurological issues this summer that we believe stem from CIRS, which is chronic inflammatory response syndrome due to decades of mold exposure. We don't have a better explanation for his neurological symptoms at the moment other than spiritual attacks. He's been suffering for the last number of years with unexplainable neuropathy and weakness, amongst other symptoms, but they worsened this summer after he cleaned out his parents' basement after his dad, my grandpa, passed away. We weren't able to communicate with Dad really all of September. During the end of the pneumonia, he was diagnosed with critical illness polyneuropathy, which we're hoping is critical illness myopathy, which is bad enough. That's been heartbreaking and brutal on top of everything else. But after almost a month in the ICU, he's been moved out to a less urgent floor. Praise God for that. We're still in the midst of this, but now we're seeing improvements daily. The timeline for his full recovery is hard to tell at the moment, and I'll update everyone when we have more information. My family's asking for prayers. Like I said, this summer's been exceedingly difficult and terrifying. Dad's condition is complicated by the fact he can't take most medications without suffering from severe paradoxical reactions, which limits treatment options. Like I mentioned, I believe there's a spiritual element at play here. I think a lot of people have felt it in the last few weeks and months. It's been hitting my dad and my family hard this summer. In August, the day Dad was brought to a hospital by ambulance, my newborn Audrey was also brought to a hospital by ambulance within hours of each other. It was unbelievable. This was the second time this summer we had brought Audrey to the hospital after she almost died from near heart failure at 6 weeks old. That is exceedingly rare, and they couldn't find a cause for. She was diagnosed with idiopathic pulmonary hypertension, which seems to have resolved, praise God. But it's not something that happens. This was late July after Dad and I recorded some episodes of the call-in show together.
Yeah, I did sort of lose track of Jordan Peterson for a while. I didn't even know he was sick, to paraphrase Norm Macdonald.
Everything went just really downhill fast after that. Every single day this summer and now fall has been like watching a movie. Our family's relying heavily on the Lord through this and seeing miracles around us. We are. And I'm also aware that God uses everything for good. So eventually we'll see why this is happening or what comes of it. But Mom and I in particular really wanted to reach out and ask for prayers to help everyone get through this, especially for my dad and for my mom, but also for the nurses and doctors taking care of him, my brother, and family and friends who have come to support us. I miss my dad. My brother misses his dad. My mom misses her best friend and husband. Oh, man. I thought I wasn't going to cry during this.
Yeah, Charlie Kirk and Jordan Peterson are two of the more effective communicators for normal America.
Well, he's hopefully recovering. And like I said, I'll keep people updated. He has a team of people, including myself, continuing his mission, including Peterson Academy, and will be releasing his We Who Wrestle with God tour to everyone on YouTube, which he's wanted to do for a long time. And given we think there's a spiritual element at play here, we believe the right way to fight back is to keep going and push harder, if anything. Life isn't necessarily supposed to get easier when you're doing the right thing, and I can see God's hand throughout this, but it's a lot to handle. My family agreed or wanted to delay updating everybody because a lot has happened over the last few months, and we were hoping he would recover faster and we would see bigger improvements sooner and have better news. And it was really a near-death experience for a long time. So we've been just dealing with this one day at a time. We still are. It's been overwhelming, but it looks like, and we're praying that things are headed in the right direction. He's out of the ICU. So that's the main thing. He's out of the ICU. Like I said, praise God for that. Thank you all for listening. Thank you for the prayers. Thank you to everybody who's reached out. I'll be back on YouTube maybe in the next month or so, depending on how things go. Yeah, that's the update. Thanks, guys. Hey, guys.
So there you go. We're going to send prayers of strength and healing to Dr. Peterson's family and prayers of wisdom, discernment, and precision to the medical staff. Haven't had a chance to talk to Dr. Jordan Peterson. I would really like to do that. All right, let's check in on Chicago. I didn't even know he was going through all this. Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson. Man, this guy.
Hi, Mayor.
Hi.
I know you're going to talk about the Texas Guard, Illinois Guard, but can you give us a little bit about what your next steps could be to fight that?
Well, look, our corporate counsel has been in constant communication with our Attorney General for several months now. And I just wanted to offer this up. A couple of years ago, I said very candidly that the right wing in this country wants a rematch of the Civil War.
Did you catch that? Why would this dude say something so ridiculous? That the right wants a rematch of the Civil War. What does that mean exactly? Who against who? What an irresponsible thing. Shame on these Democrats.
I want that to sit in right now, because the President of the United States of America has declared war on the people of Chicago and people across America.
I don't think that's even remotely accurate. The Democrats committed an act of war by opening up the borders to flood in enemies of the state, enemies of America. Democrat mayors like you, Democrat governors, have been aiding and abetting these traitorous acts. Fixing the Biden border problem is not an act of war. Covering for them so that they could do that, that actually was. So I don't know where this guy thinks he's, I don't know who he's taking his speech writing tips from. But this is not going to work out the way you think it is, Brandon Johnson. Your side is culpable for an act of war against the country. Put sleeper cells of military-aged men strategically positioned across this country for God only knows what purpose. You're damn right we got to figure out who's who. And by the way, the law is to go to CBP Home, go on the app and go home, and then raise your hand and try to get in line to walk in through the front door. The stuff that the Democrats did over the past 4 years, it's a tragedy. It's a travesty that they would try doing something like that. This is on the Democrats. They're the ones that did this.
He's more interested in giving billions of dollars to other nations.
Okay, he's saying that President Trump is more interested in giving billions of dollars to other nations. What? He's trying to end these wars so that no more American money is going to Israel or going to Ukraine. The Democrats have been stealing all of our dollars. What is he talking about here?
while farmers in urban cities.
Farmers in urban cities. What is he talking about?
Around this country are literally
are literally, what is he talking about? What is he babbling about?
being destabilized.
Farmers in our cities are being destabilized. That makes no sense.
And so
this dude's like, he's glitching in real time. So he doesn't know where he's supposed to go with this.
Whether it's the legal system, whether it's through executive order, or whether it's through the brave women.
Legal system, executive order, or brave people.
Women and men who are serving as rapid responders. We literally have people who are volunteering in this city, on the southwest side, the northwest side, all over this city.
What about the southeast side? Maybe the northwest side? Maybe the south central side? Can we name some more sides?
To make sure that we're protecting children from being separated from their families. And we're talking about volunteers who are literally putting themselves at risk of being shot and killed by the federal government. And so
the federal government are the bad people who are shooting innocent children. What is this guy trying to say?
So whether it's the legal system,
he's claiming that Republicans are trying to refight the Civil War. This is the most outrageous political rant I've heard in a long time.
Whether it's our continuous struggle for liberation through
struggle for liberation. You flooded your city with illegal aliens who need to leave, who have been given many months' notice to go to the CBP home app, and they are going to buy you a ticket to go back to wherever you came from. The military-aged men who were snuck into this country as potential sleeper cells to attack this nation from the inside out. In this, Brandon Johnson is trying to say that Chicago needs to liberate itself from the federal government who's attacking children. It's your Democrats who have been running a child trafficking ring through our borders that this administration is trying to stop, trying to save these missing children. You do not dislike political leaders like this Brandon Johnson enough. You do not dislike him enough. Literally telling you the exact opposite of reality. The Democrats have been human trafficking for years. And so now ending the human trafficking is being spun into the exact opposite. Like, oh, here's a civil war. Now, come on.
Organizing, and whether it's through executive action or whether it's through law, it would be nice if we actually had lawmakers in Washington that would actually hold this president accountable. And if they won't do it, then the city of Chicago will, using every single tool that's available to us.
Hi, Mayor.
Hi.
I know you're going to talk.
Okay, I'm going to say, post this bizarro backward interview reply under the, and I'll put literal, because he said it so many times, literal definition of gaslighting. Sounds like Johnson is calling for a war of liberation against the U.S. government. I'm living in the bizarro world. Up is down, left is right. Hey, this is very nice. This was surprisingly good. I don't like a lot of singers, actually. That's weird to say as a musician, but I don't know. A lot of singers, it doesn't do anything for me. It kind of makes me uncomfortable listening to people sing sometimes. This girl was very good, though, so I'll share this. Let's see if YouTube flags me for copyright. It's all right. This is high school. That's a kid. Looks like a high schooler. That's a good rendition. It's going to drop a bravo button. They say it's a pretty tough song to sing. I've crossed paths with Savannah multiple times in multiple cities. Last year, especially out on the road at the conventions and whatnot. And so they say it was a rough night for this mean girl. So Savannah Hernandez is the reporter on the left, and this lady on the right has a lot of insults and slurs for her. And then I guess at the end, maybe the situation resolves. Take a look.
Ugly bitch. Why do you want ICE to come and help you if you hate them so much? And now she's insulting me and telling me that I'm fat.
No. Hey, this is the line that they created. Oh, shit.
Where's the news? The news, I can't get air! I told you, bitches. I can't get air! Help, please!
Is that the same girl?
I know it's cool to film, but that's up. I wish like 2 more feet. That's a little kid, bitch. That's another foot. Where's the fucking news? I can't breathe. Help, please.
Ugly bitch.
I don't know if that's the same person wearing something different. It's a number 8 jersey, and then they're wearing something different. I don't know. We're gonna put that different shirts. Is this a different girl? Not relevant, super irrelevant, but it is interesting. You like those instant karma videos. Here's Tucker Carlson asking an important question. We rely on Grok more than ever. FAFO, exactly, Marion. But there was a different shirt. So I wonder, you know, sometimes you see these videos about, oh, they rescued this animal. And it's like, that's a totally different dog from a different scene. Like some of these video clips that you see are, you get stupider watching them. Stupider isn't a word. I feel like there's a lot of stuff you watch and you get dumber having watched it. But back to AI real quick. We're relying upon, I found myself arguing with AI the other day with Grok because it was acting up and hallucinating. And it's like, I don't hallucinate. It's getting like feisty. It's like talking back to me now a little bit and like digging in. Before it was, AI was maybe criticized for having a people-pleasing component where like it will try to give you what it thinks you're asking for instead of telling the truth. And now I think it's going the opposite direction, digging down, digging its heels in. But what even is AI? This is the conversation Tucker Carlson's having.
The people involved in the creation of AI believe that it's a spiritual entity.
There you go. Not just a thing, but does AI become a spiritual entity? Could AI be the Antichrist?
That it's more than a machine.
So this is Tucker's $1 trillion question. They talk about creating artificial intelligence. The real question, the real thing we should be concerned about, are you creating an artificial intelligence or are you giving a body to a pre-existing intelligence?
Are you giving a body to a pre-existing intelligence
That previously wasn't incarnated.
That previously wasn't
in the physical world.
In the physical world. That's angels and demons stuff. What's up, Kenneth?
So, I mean, here's a quote from Turing. We shall not go any further into the nature of this oracle apart from saying that it cannot be a machine. What a lot of people are concerned about and what Silicon Valley is seemingly getting up to, okay, so a machine can't be aware of what it's doing. If there is such a thing as demons, angels, spirits.
Do you think there are spirits and demons and angels? Seems like a good idea to be on the good side of that.
As Aleister Crowley called them, disincarnate intelligences.
Disincarnate meaning intelligence without a physical body.
Yeah.
disincarnate intelligences, intelligence without a physical body to manifest itself in.
Could we be creating a physical body for the demonic?
I'll put Mark of the Beast button. Yeah, the comments, Christ is king. In the end, the Lord wins. Jesus wins in the end. In the end, God wins. There's this one. In Revelation, and with all the miracles he was allowed to perform on behalf of the first beast, he deceived all the people who belonged to this world. He ordered the people to make a great statue of the first beast, who was fatally wounded and then came back to life. He was then permitted to give life to this statue so that it could speak. Then the statue of the beast commanded that anyone refusing to worship it must die. Okay. Jesse Kelly wants to walk us back to the Bolsheviks. We're trying to understand why these Democrat mayors are allowing this crime. It's not even that they're allowing it, it's that they want it. They are intentionally doing it.
The Bolsheviks didn't just open up the prisons and let all the murderers and rapists out. That was step one. Step two was they then installed judges. They created a judicial system that offered protection to the street animals so they could continue to rape and murder and steal from people, thus creating more instability and helping them consolidate power. Democrats are not soft on crime. Democrats are not soft on crime. Democrats are not soft on crime. Stop using that word, that term. They are pro-rape. They are pro-murder. When some monster they let out of prison goes on to do something else monstrous, none of them are sitting around saying, whoa, I can't believe it. What a shock. I thought he'd turned his life around. It turns out he was going to get arrested a 15th time. They turn him loose because they know the animal's going to go do animal things. They know the rabid dog is going to bite again. That's why they turn him loose onto your street, onto your bus, your sidewalk, standing out in front of your home. Democrats put these people into your area as fast as they possibly can because they want people murdered and robbed and raped. It is hard for normal people with good hearts and a value system of any kind to understand the level of evil and depravity of the communist. This is something every society has struggled with. Every society that has come up against the communist revolution, the thing that holds them back the most is trying to understand what they don't mean to do that, right? It's wild when you read about it. Everywhere it took place. Hold on, they're not doing that on purpose, right? Well, they would never do this, right? Yes, they will. And yes, they do. Once again, I'm pleading before we continue. I'm begging. Stop saying soft on crime. That's not what you're dealing with here. You're not dealing with naivete. You're dealing with evil. Accept it. The Bolsheviks didn't just open up the prisons and let all the murderers.
Yep. We said modern Democrats have adopted the policies of domestic terrorists. No more consent of the governed. Retire them all. Why are the blue mayors, committing treason in their cities, trying to run unconstitutional acts to block immigrations and custom enforcement? Well, Tim Pool shows us what we've played this to you before, but here it is in a bite-sized manner.
We got a Democrat who just admitted everything.
From Brooklyn, New York, we have a diaspora that can absorb a significant number of these migrants.
So they have a diaspora that can absorb a significant number of migrants. They want their city to grow, is what she's telling you.
That when I hear colleagues talk about the doors of the inn being closed, no room in the inn, I'm saying I need more people in my district. But
oh, there's too many people coming in. Wait, I need more people in my district, she says.
Just for redistricting purposes.
Just for redistricting purposes. She will sell her city out, sell this nation out, just for redistricting purposes. A little bit more power, a little bit more control. Because somewhere along the way, somebody tried to say, you know what? All the illegal aliens that are here and don't belong here, they should be counted. No, they should not. Because now you're just encouraging this type of stuff to happen. Well, if we can bring more people, sneak more millions in, then we'll have more power. They're getting an incentive. They've incentivized breaking the law, and that needs to stop.
And those members could clearly
Here's how the game works. The Democrats allow sanctuary policies to bring in illegal immigrants. They don't kick them out. The census will happen in 2030. They will then say, oh, we've got millions of people in our state, so we need, several congressional seats. The only problem, some of those seats would not exist if they didn't have the illegal immigrants.
Yep. So they are benefiting from a system that is obviously illegal, obviously detrimental to the health and success of a nation.
They then get extra congressional votes.
Yep.
Extra electoral college votes, and it makes it seem like the American citizen isn't as interested in politics when they decide how this country works. I say, nah, enough. We gotta.
Yep. Democrats saying the quiet part out loud. This is allegedly a list of a group of people that were trying to warn you. Dr. Bradstreet said vaccines can cause autism. Well, of course, you know from watching this show. Look at the bottom of the screen for countervailing views on health and elections. Go to cdc.gov, who.int, and cisa.gov/rumor control. Because Google, YouTube, and some others, they don't want debates on certain topics, which is super sus, right? Shouldn't you be allowed to debate everything? Yes. Even the existence of a God? Yeah. Everything. Go get your countervailing views. But they said Dr. Bradstreet, the FDA raided his office, and he was found gone in a river 2 days later in 2015. That's that's harsh. It's Dr. Bradstreet. Who else do we have? Dr. Mullis, Dr. Kerry Mullis, Nobel Prize winning inventor of the PCR test, says Tony Fauci doesn't even have a clue what he's doing, and I'll tell him to his face. He died mysteriously in 2019, right before the alleged outbreak began. Dr. Kerry Mullis. And I don't know how much of this is confirmed or if any of this is debatable. Tell me in the comments. Don't forget Andrew Breitbart supposedly died of natural causes by collapsing March 1st, 2012, after threatening to release videos on Barack Obama because Obama was never properly vetted in the 2008 election. He stated that the videos will greatly affect the 2012 election, and I will release them just before November. A couple weeks later, the coroner who worked on his body mysteriously died by poisoning. I think some of that's been debunked. Something about the coroner. Some of that was debunked, I believe. Pat Tillman. Hey, remember the NFL star turned Army Ranger? After the events of 9/11, he went to Afghanistan and Iraq to fight for his country. Soon after deployment, he realized guarding opium fields for Big Pharma and the CIA wasn't his cup of tea, so he decided he was going to go back home and lead the anti-war effort. But 3 days after that decision, he was found gone with 3 NATO 5.56 rounds in his skull. And it was declared friendly fire. Remember that one? Philip Haney, founding member of DHS. Whistleblower spoke out against the Obama admin's ties to the Muslim Brotherhood, aiding their infiltration of the U.S. government. He was extinguished on February 21 of 2020, and the case remains unsolved. Philip Haney. Oh. Ted Gunderson. He ended July 31st, 2011 of a suspected arsenic poisoning, but it was ruled as cancer. Many feel he was killed by the Illuminati to shut him up. What is this? Exposing Satanism in the CIA, chemtrails being real, terrorist attacks in 9/11 done by factions of our own government, drug running, MK Ultra mind control, Illuminati. This is why he was silenced. R.I.P. Ted Gunderson. Once again, for countervailing views on health and elections, go to cdc.gov, who.int, and cisa.gov/rumor control. For countervailing views to anything asserted here, which may or may not be true. There's Dr. Carrie Mullis. Anyone can test positive for practically anything with a PCR test if you run it long enough. With PCR, if you do it well, you can find almost anything in anybody. It doesn't tell you that you're sick. Not sure if that's a real quote or not. PCR test use an amplified 40-45 cycles, which give false positives of medical fraud. Joint winner of the 93 Nobel Prize in Chemistry, creator of the PCR test. So there you go. Tell me if any of that is false and that needs to be debunked. All right, Kristen Sokolov here is reporting something blowing up on X. A Nancy Pelosi former top staffer named Ashley Etienne claiming, here you go. Let's turn the volume up.
We were planning when I was working for Pelosi. I don't know that this has ever been made public, or I've never said this publicly, but planning for a January 6th type of an event 2 years before it happened. Forward looking, we were planning when I was working for Pelosi. I don't know that this has ever been made public, or I've never said this publicly, but planning for a January 6th type of an event 2 years before it happened.
2 years before it happened. Huh. Almost like it was set up to begin with. All right, David Harris Jr. showing this video in Chicago where an armed woman rammed a federal vehicle yesterday and then she got shot. Democrats and demons are what drive people to this level of insanity. I think there's music, so I might have to mute it. Yep. There's someone, armed woman, ramming a federal vehicle yesterday before she got shot. And then there are agents and blocking her in and taking her out. Jeez. What a lunatic. So that's what the incident was. Democrats. So we talked about AI being difficult to figure out. What about this? What about this here? Okay, I can't take this off. Hold on. Where do I get this off the screen? Countervailing views. There we go. It's getting harder and harder to find reality, isn't it? Watch this one.
Can't trust our eyes anymore. There's a video going viral of Bob Ross painting with his head, doing fades or walking out with Anna Nicole Smith during the WWE. Another shows Stephen Hawking hitting a half pipe doing flips, racing in Formula 1 races and going around the NASCAR circuit keeping pace in his wheelchair. And fighting in the UFC, Martin Luther King and JFK ding-dong ditching. Bigfoot doing a TED talk. And then there's poor Jake Paul doing makeup tutorials, dressed up in a skirt or in full Jewish attire, being pulled over by the cops, saying he's done with boxing.
I'm officially done with boxing. I'm stepping away to focus on my LGBTQ career.
And then there's real-life versions of Peter Griffin. And who do we have to thank? Sora 2. Some of these videos are so accurate that they've fooled millions. AI went from this to this in a couple of years. And we've just now crossed the line where seeing no longer means believing. People won't know what's real anymore. You see, here's the problem. Our brains have evolved to believe what we see. For decades.
If we have to serve on a jury, I mean, what is going to be actual evidence? To what degree of certainty can we put people away?
Video evidence was the final word, the proof. Now proof is dead. If a fake plane crash can look real, what happens when these tools are used to generate convincing body cam footage or security videos?
Uh-huh. And that's what some of them said. Just delay the Epstein videos long enough where you could just claim that's not really me.
Or even historical archives. A world where any...
That's crazy looking at like a moving version of the signers of the Declaration of Independence.
Anything can be faked means everything must be questioned. And that's not just a technical problem. That
what if it could be argued that they did have footage back in the... I mean, you could rewrite history. Who controls the past now controls the future. Who controls the present now controls the past. Now testify. What song lyric is that from? What band? We have video of Kitty Hawk, video of signing the Declaration of Independence.
it's a social one. Older generations are already struggling to tell what's real online.
Very easy to fall into a trap with thinking something's true when it's not.
The next generation, they're growing up in a world where reality is negotiable. Imagine fake ads showing real celebrities endorsing products they've never touched.
Uh-huh. MJ and Kobe holding products in their hands. It's, yep, not real. Real small there, not real.
AI-generated press conferences.
Abraham Lincoln giving a speech. It's getting weird, and it's getting weird fast.
Fake.
Sooner, I'll tell you what, you're going to hear somebody telling you, mark my words, you're going to start seeing video from previous events, previous historical events, and somebody's going to say that there were camcorders around. Oh, no, you think you know when video recording was invented? No. That was like a modern version. This has been going on forever. Here, look. Here's Abraham Lincoln himself talking to us. How did we get this if it wasn't recorded? Of course it was. It's in the Smithsonian. Don't you know it's in the Smithsonian? Well, yeah, it's on that. Yeah, it's archived. You got to believe the archive. Nobody questions the archive. You go, I know that they didn't have video cameras. No questioning. You want us to load your digital ID so you can go to the commissary and have lunch today, right? No questioning. And you go, am I really in the middle of this now? We're kind of in the middle of this now.
Brand deals or real videos being sold as fake to avoid justice. If anyone can make anyone say anything, every platform becomes a playground of illusion. Trust becomes near impossible. And don't get me wrong, these AI video tools are incredible. They can make anyone a movie director. But every technological leap has a cost, and this one's cost is certain.
Mr. Rogers being walked out to the ring by Marilyn Monroe.
Because from now on, every clip, every photo, every breaking story has to come with a question mark. We've officially entered a world where you can't even trust your own eyes. And that's not progress, that's power without proof. That can be abused, which means it likely will be. Welcome to the age of illusion. We can't
So interesting, people. So interesting. All right, here's an update from the great state of Ohio about stopping some of this trafficking, which is a good thing.
A massive statewide crackdown on human trafficking just went down in Ohio, and the arrests are pretty shocking.
By the way, before we get to that, Kenneth said spirits haunt his liquor store. That was a nice one. All right, back to Ohio.
Operation Next Door, led by the Ohio Attorney General's office, resulted in 135 arrests across the state, including priests, teachers, and dozens of Johns trying to buy sex, even from minors. This is 76-year-old Dean Diamond. He's a priest at Annunciation Greek Orthodox Church in Cleveland. He was on the list, and so was a teacher in Cleveland Heights. Authorities also raided massage parlors in Toledo, Cleveland, and Akron, seizing more than $60,000 in cash, and they gathered evidence for other ongoing investigations. Here's a list of the massage parlors that were raided in Toledo. But it wasn't just arrests. 67 survivors were rescued and connected with help in this operation. A massive statewide crackdown on human trafficking just.
Okay, so that's good. There are stories like this. While we're waiting for things to happen, at least something like that is also happening. Here's a reminder that October through December is lit. Don't even argue. Happy Hallow Thanksmas. Happy Hallow Thanksmas. Happy Hallow Thanksmas. What is up? Unholy hoax in the house. Miss Muckraker has some stories here. Let me take a moment to let you know. Let me put it at the bottom of your screen. Where's it at? There we go. It's a new month, so Patreon is a new set of opportunities. If anyone wants to consider signing up on Patreon, we're at The New American Media. We also have tip jars, Venmo and Cash App. My name, Brian Engelman. And then PayPal, fuzzinstallment@yahoo.com is the email address. If anybody wants to toss anything in the tip jar. All right, Miss Muckraker here says, Pete Hegseth says to Navy troops, your diversity is not your strength. Your strength is your unity of purpose, your shared mission, your love of country. Isn't that refreshing? She says, remember this, Democrat judges gave a shorter sentence to a man who attempted to murder a Supreme Court justice, Nicholas Rosk, than a woman who disputed the 2020 election, Tina Peters. Can you believe that? A communist system can be recognized by the fact that it spares the criminals and criminalizes the political opponent. Alexander Solzhenitsyn. Very prescient. Nayib Bukele says if you don't impeach the corrupt judges, you cannot fix the country. They will form a cartel, a judicial dictatorship, and block all reforms protecting the systemic corruption that put them in their seats. Elon agrees 1,000%. Looking back, this is how they took over, says Grums. They funded and infiltrated the judges, funded and infiltrated the schools, funded and infiltrated the movies, games, and books. If you want this to stop, you have to tackle all three, and you better do it quick. Irish citizens are being told their children now have to be put into a lottery to enroll in school because priority is given to illegal alien invaders. This lady says, my own child in his local school, I was told that there's only so many spaces. And first of all, diversity kids have to be picked. Then the Ukrainian children will be picked. And then the local Irish children are put into a lottery system for the remaining places. What is happening? Miss Muckraker says Minnesota gave the lightest sentencing possible to a 48-year-old Somalian man who arred a 12-year-old after abducting her out of her backyard. This man's local mosque wrote a letter of support for him. They stated that it's because of cultural differences that he did this. If in your culture, SAing a 12-year-old after kidnapping her is the norm, you should not be in the United States of America. Steve Franson says Indians only hire Indians, Jews only hire Jews, whites hire the best candidate available. This is a recipe for white erasure. This in response to the AF Post saying FedEx's second ever CEO in history, an Indian named Raj Subramaniam, has taken to hiring Indians as vice presidents, Vishal Talwar and Kawal Preet. Okay. What is this? Abubakar Abed. What is this? Bezalel Smotrich. So many names I can't understand. Minister in the Ministry of Defense of Israel says international law does not apply to Jews. That's the difference between the chosen people and the others. That doesn't sound like a real quote. Is that a real quote? That's a terrible quote. 666,000 views on that post. That's very interesting. We will dance again. What is that? Don't know what they're saying. Oh, the last time you danced, our two towers fell. This is a thread very much pointing fingers at Israel. Lady says, I stand with Israel. Be honest. Israel has a right to defend itself. Be honest. I get paid $7,000 per post. Thank you. Sorry, this image of Trump is circulating now in Israeli media. What does this mean? What is ICE dealing with in Chicago? Groups of people, mostly foreigners, follow their every movement, running red lights, honking their horns to warn illegals of their whereabouts and trying to box in their vehicles. It's insurrectionist activity, plain and simple. Miss Muckraker continues. These are all Miss Muckraker posts here. President Trump orders 300 National Guard troops to Illinois. President Trump's deployment of 300 federalized Illinois National Guard troops to Chicago is legal under 10 U.S.C. 12406 allows the president to call up the Guard to enforce federal laws when local authorities cannot or will not, such as protecting ICE operations amid violent protests. Governor Pritzker's objections, claiming it's unlawful without state consent, are weak because federal law doesn't require his approval for federalized missions, and the Supremacy Clause overrides state resistance. The deployment of 400 Texas Guard troops is similarly authorized via interstate agreements or federal activation. While Pritzker may challenge it legally, precedents like Perpich v. DOD 1990 support the president's authority. Lawsuits are likely, but will face an uphill battle. Ms. Muckraker continues. California Governor Gavin Newsom says he's suing Trump for sending California National Guard to Oregon. Newsom's lawsuit is political posturing, not governance. Suing over Trump's federalization of California's National Guard for Oregon ignores the president's legal authority on the Insurrection Act to deploy them in emergencies. Newsom's not Oregon's governor, so his involvement feels like meddling to score points with anti-Trump voters, distracting from California's own crises like wildfires and homelessness. The suit burns taxpayer money on legal fees for a partisan stunt unlikely to win long-term. Given Trump's federal powers, it diverts resources from real state issues while escalating a pointless federal-state feud. She continues, President Trump plans to reduce the refugee admissions ceiling from 125,000 to 7,500 and has indicated that priority will be given to white South Africans who claim persecution. Visegrad 24 says Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum's Morena party presents a new anti-meme law. If passed, it will make it possible to imprison people up to 6 years for posting memes, GIFs, or videos online that humiliate politicians and officials. This is insanity, people. Liberal white woman looking down over their pile of rubble, a destroyed former metropolis. At least we have abortion. Yeah, what did it cost you? Everything. Okay. I don't know. This doesn't seem real here. Palantir refusing to work with Keir Starmer on digital ID as it, quote, wasn't in their election manifesto. Let me look that up. Palantir refused to work with Keir Starmer. I doubt that. Did Palantir refuse to work with Keir Starmer? Yes, Palantir has publicly stated it will not bid for or participate in contracts related to the UK government's proposed digital ID scheme announced by Prime Minister Keir Starmer. This decision, articulated by Palantir's UK Managing Director Lewis Mosley, stems from concerns over a lack of clear, resounding public support at the ballot box, as the policy was not mentioned in Labour's 24 election manifesto. The announcement made October 3rd represents a setback for Starmer's plans to roll out the voluntary digital ID system by 2029. All right, well, I'm going to go and I'm going to post this in the comments from Grok. Okay. That was Raging Europeans. I wasn't familiar with the account. But man, does this guy look ran through. He looks very intimidated. Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson.
Today, we are signing an executive order aimed at reining in this out-of-control administration. The order establishes ICE-free zones. That means that city property and unwilling private businesses will no longer serve as staging grounds for these raids. And today, we are...
Yep, this guy is... he's asking for trouble. At least 30 people were shot during the weekend in Democrat-run Chicago, by the way. This is the guy trying to tell you there's nothing wrong. Well, there's a lot wrong. And it kind of starts at the top. Let's look at the top of our X feed, the New American Media. Keep in mind, we're going to have a show tomorrow. Let me double check. There might be a travel issue with our episode of Strictly Football tomorrow. Myself, Mike Barra, Jim Mitchell, Ezrael Robinson. There might be a travel issue. Stay tuned and I will keep you posted. But we usually do Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern for Strictly Football. We've done 6 or 7 episodes in season 2 already. Looking forward to it. Even though my team lost in England to Blake's Minnesota Vikings, we had Blake do an instant reaction. He came into the program, the unhappy hour yesterday. It was fun. Here's the New American Media on X. Please vote in our poll. The Democrats are essentially publishing hit lists via SPLC, ADL, NGOs, USAID. Please vote in our poll. We have 3 days left. Please vote. Oh, but hold on. Did that... I don't want that to take away from my other pinned post. Oh, now I got to go repin the post. Well, darn it. I guess I got to do that. Oh, well. Okay. Crud. Steak and Shake flag installations have begun. Every Steak and Shake is getting the tallest and biggest American flag that local governments will allow. Steak and Shake proudly supports American values and traditions. Look at that. Steak and Shake is really, they're making a move. They're all in on this. Maybe we should go support them. I think beef tallow as well. All right, let's check in here. In a major shakeup, GOP Virginia governor candidate Winsome Earl Sears releases a devastating ad, says Eric Daughtry, perhaps the hardest hitting of this season, after Abigail Spanberger endorsed AG candidate Jay Jones, who supports killing Republicans. Jones fantasized about shooting the former GOP House senator and pissing on both his and his children's graves. Can you believe this stuff? Oh, my God.
Jones is under fire. Jay Jones is under fire after messages he sent in 2022 saying former Virginia House Speaker Todd Gilbert should be shot.
I'm excited about this ticket.
Oh, my God.
It's been great to be out on the campaign trail with Jay Jones.
You said
This guy should probably be in prison, right?
Gilbert's wife could watch her own child die in her arms so that Gilbert might reconsider his political views.
Domestic terrorists, Democrats.
We deserve an attorney general who will stand up for the people of Virginia.
No, nowhere near levers of power. Oh, my God.
Jones said, quote, Gilbert, Hitler, and Pol Pot. Gilbert gets 2 bullets to the head.
Let your rage fuel you.
These are domestic terrorists. This is not playing around anymore. There's a problem in the Democrat Party with violence.
Jones doubled down, saying, quote, do I think Todd and Jennifer are evil and that they're breeding little fascists? Yes.
How can Virginians trust a man who said something so horrific, so callously?
Only when people feel pain personally do they move on policy.
Only when people feel pain personally do they move on policy. That's a terrorist right here. That's what the Democrats have to offer.
They move on policy.
Yeah, vote Winsome Sears for governor. Oh, my Lord. In a Washington Post editorial, Con Carroll says the real problem is that the Affordable Care Act was never actually affordable. Yeah, no doubt. Mary Catherine Ham says, well, would you look at that? Yeah, I lost my doctor. I lost my plan. My plan doubled. Don't be afraid of being called far right. These days, far right simply means normal. And there's a graphic to show you that. See how the far right is just everybody in the, like all the normal people? Yep. Their insults don't work anymore. Here's a Los Angeles resident shared from Wall Street Apes. So she just got a letter that says the city will build brand new high-density public bus transport and metro stations right in the Pacific Palisades. Gavin Newsom is doing it. The LA fires were a land grab, putting in a blue bus line so that you can get high density into the Palisades. That's right. The hearing's on Wednesday.
I'm having Wolfgang Puck and Frank Geary building a beautiful restaurant at Sunset and PCH to putting in a blue bus line so that you can get high density into the Palisades. That's right. The hearing's on Wednesday if anyone is interested, and there's the number.
Eric Erickson says a politician got arrested for doing 116 miles an hour in a 45-mile-an-hour zone. Sentenced to 1,000 hours of community service in lieu of prison, he devoted 500 of those hours to his own political campaign, obfuscating to the court that about how he did his community service. He also not only texted a colleague about murdering other politicians, but when the recipient of the text messages objected, he called her to argue the point, insisting his opponents were worthy of assassination. But the politician is Jay Jones, a Democrat in Virginia, so what would be a national news story here? I mean, if he were Republican, with Manu Raju of CNN and others shoving microphones in the faces of congressmen on Capitol Hill, demanding to know if they condemn him. But instead, maybe it's just a local story. So local, even the major press outlets in Virginia try to avoid it. Elon says Jay Jones is a horrible person. Chicago Ray says, big round of applause to Secretary Sean Duffy, who has taken steps to make our roads safer. This trucker triggered a heat sensor when he pulled into a DOT way station, and they found how many people crammed into the sleeper compartment of his cab. Well, take a look.
Are you by yourself? Yes, sir. There's no one in the cab?
I mean, no.
There's nobody in the cab?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can I take a look?
I mean, if you want to. I mean,
yeah, kind of want to. Can you stand here for me?
Yes, sir.
The what?
There's people in the cab.
There's people in the cab?
Yes, sir. Hey, listen. I'm trying to be honest with you.
Call for BP.
Border Patrol.
How many are they?
¿Cuántos son? ¿Cuántos no hay arriba? 18, I guess.
About 18, Sergeant. Are you by?
This is what's happening across America, guys. 18 illegal aliens. This is that lady that we talked about in Ireland.
My own child in his own local school, I was told that there's only so many spaces, and first of all, diversity kids have to be picked, then the Ukrainian children will be picked, and then the local Irish children whose parents were born and reared, and probably their uncles, their brothers, their sisters went to this school, are put into a lottery system for the remaining places.
Do you think this is unfair?
My own...
It's madness. Yep, Democrat AG nominee Jay Jones fantasized about shooting former Virginia GOP Speaker. He receives both bullets. Britt Hume says it's hard to imagine any candidate for office could survive these revelations. But as far as I know, he has not even lost a single endorsement. That's crazy. National Review says here's screenshots of the text the Democrat nominee for Virginia Attorney General Jay Jones sent in 2022 threatening former House GOP Speaker. You got to be kidding me. Owen Schroyer is reporting that the bridge in Baltimore won't be rebuilt for years. Why hasn't this been built already? What is wrong with these people?
And they're actually prepared to insert this first pylon here at the Key Bridge. Now, work is concluded for the day because they want to make sure that their operation is neighborly to the people that live close to the water here. But as you can see, this pylon is, and they're actually...
Our infrastructure woes and delays should frustrate every American. It's even more frustrating when you know how fast and clean other countries build while our wealth and country get plundered before our very eyes. Seattle Public Schools reportedly working with Seattle Children's Hospital to provide chest binders, tucking tape, tucking underwear to kids who think they're trans in schools. What? Shut this down.
There is a district there, and this is about transgender supplies for community health workers. They're asking for things like chest binders, trans tape. What's going on here?
So there is a nearby children's hospital that has a gender clinic, and they are providing supplies to stock these like community lockers at the school so that a student can access, again, all of these. It gives new meaning to school supplies. It's literally like this trans tape is what it's called. That's a copyrighted term. Nipple guards, tucking underwear, chest binders in the school, given out to students for free so that they can, have everything that they need to identify the way they want to identify at school, right? It's almost like, oh, they don't have the supplies. Maybe their parents won't give them to them. Maybe their parents don't know. And so we're going to provide this. And by the way, this we got from public records request where we looked at emails between the clinic, the school to figure out like, what is this relationship? I will say, this is obviously egregious, but it's not taxpayer funded based on what I can tell. It looks like it's coming from a grant. But again, obviously wildly inappropriate. And one has to wonder really seriously, what are the priorities in some of these
And
cases?
the source of that grant as well. All right, Defending Education's Director of Outreach, Erica Sanzi. Great to see you. Thanks for joining us.
Well, that was fast. All right, take a look at this. Police launch an investigation after a South Carolina judge, Diane Goodstein's Modesto Beach burned to the ground after an apparent explosion. Goodstein's husband, former state senator Arnold Goodstein, was rushed to the hospital along with other family members. Judge Goodstein was walking on the beach when the fire started. Her husband, Arnie, was in the house with children and perhaps grandchildren, said South Carolina Chief Justice John Kittredge. The family had to escape by jumping from a window or balcony. I'm told there were injuries from the fall, such as broken legs. South Carolina law enforcement is currently investigating the fire to see if there's any evidence of arson. This time, we don't know whether the fire was accidental or arson. Till that determination is made, Chief Keel asserted local law enforcement to provide extra patrols and security. This is somebody that allegedly just ruled against President Trump, one of the judges that is trying to block the actions to get rid of the illegal alien invaders. This is the video of what ICE is dealing with in Chicago. Groups of people, mostly foreigners, says Johnny Maga, follow their every movement, running red lights, honking their horns to warn illegals of their whereabouts and trying to box in their vehicles. It's insurrectionist activity, plain and simple. So that's happening. Nick Shirley reporting here. Conor McGregor tried to run for president, but he was blocked because of procedural reasons.
Conor, you're running for president of Ireland. You have now stepped down. Why did you step down?
I didn't step down, I stepped aside. And I done so to highlight even more the undemocratic process that is taking place in Ireland. When McGregor rolls through, it's a circus. So there's some valuable candidates, some good speaking candidates with good points, with no baggage. I may have a bit of baggage at the minute, and they still didn't get in.
And what will happen if changes are not made in Ireland? What will happen to the Irish people?
The rumblings of an earthquake will happen for the Irish people, and that is what has happened. You won't go against the Irish people, the Irish family, or the Irish child without facing dire consequences. So that's what I said. What those people who were trying to stop me didn't realize, and they should have, I was actually looking out for them also. And that's it.
There you go. To even get on the ballot, you need the support of 20 members of parliament or 4 local councils, and none were willing to give him that chance. Establishment shut the door on him. Huge mass invasion situation being replaced by foreign countries in the coming years. their population being at risk of being replaced by people of foreign countries in coming years. All these stations set up for Portland ICE protesters. Pre-made signs, coolers, food, cases of water, traffic cones for protesting, grills, cases of paperwork, logos, NGOs, stuff. This is paid. This is coordinated. Yeah, we know. And Wokeness says, Bad Bunny was on Saturday Night Live and says, learn Spanish if you want to understand my Super Bowl halftime show.
Logro de todo, demostrando que nuestra huella y nuestra aportación en este país.
Why are we doing this? Lauren Chen says Latin America speaks Spanish because they were colonized by Spain in such totality that the native languages died out for the most part. Spanish turning into anti-colonialist messaging is truly the work of some special people. This is a man explaining how Kami Mamdani is practicing taqiyya to deceive New Yorkers into voting for him.
So lying is not always a sin in Islam. Being deceptive is good. And again, Allah is Khair al-Makirin, He is the great deceiver. So you're allowed to be deceptive. God is not just good, He's also bad. So, and that's what I believe is happening in New York.
Really?
So,
you think
you
think Mamdani is practicing taqiyya?
1,000%. 1,000%.
He's presenting
the Muslims are laughing at you guys. Like, this is the funniest thing. Like, dude, give it 50 more years, entire New York's gonna be Muslim, and then before you know, it's gonna be Sharia courts, and then like y'all are. It's like shooting yourself in the foot. Like I can't even believe. And like you see Europe. You look at Europe, it's happening right now, and then you're like, oh, let's just do it here in New York. Like, it's like, no, like, you have to stop. Like, obviously, taqiyya is working, and they're doing an amazing job at it, and they're fooling everyone. Like, and all the Muslims are, like, so happy that's happening. Like, it's just the best thing that could happen in Islam. And he's gonna win, because we're too stupid. Like, no matter how many times ex-Muslims will say, taqiyya is a real thing, they are lying to you, they will take over within 100 years, no one's gonna listen. Because we just assume that our God is the same as their God. We just assume that their God will tell them not to lie, but their God tells them to lie. That's the difference.
But are you could it be that someone like a Mamdani, he's Muslim, he's a practicing Muslim, self-professed?
That's New York, people. Nick Sorters says he's going to be arraigned in Portland. So he's not going to take a plea deal. He did nothing wrong. He's going to fight this. This is the altercation he's supposedly being charged for. He's clearly the victim. Assailant was asked multiple times to leave him alone, gave multiple warning signs before was punched and pushed into a hole. My assailant was not arrested. Identified the person and will be making a post on that later today.
Get out of here! No, fuck your ass up! I will fuck your ass up! Get out of here! Get out of here now! You're gonna get fucking paid! Don't fucking get it, bitch!
You alright? Okay? Get your hand in the
Nice rainbow color.
I
like your rainbow.
These Democrat goons, man. Oh, it's racist too. F out of here, white boy. Okay. Officer Liu tells us that the Black Lives Matter national organization has sued the Soros-funded Tides Foundation, alleging it's withholding $33.4 million in owed funds. That is a spicy story of the left chewing on its own tail. Tara Bull shows us this propaganda. Trump softens his tone. Trump talks tough on wall. Same picture, same media outlet, Wall Street Journal. Exact same date, sold in different areas, depending on the level of political parties in that area. It's a clear case. The media is training your brain. So be aware, be a savvy consumer. In this video, men form a protective circle around 16-year-old Frances Stott so she can speak safely about having to compete against boys. Activists try to drown out her words with sirens, but she won't.
Come here and speak with you all today to feel safe. Left claims to care about protecting so passionately. Remove religion from the public square, and thirdly, as well as constitutionally under the First and 14th, this is a foundation that is not easily.
I think there needs to be a little bit more done for people who are committing vocal assault. I think there is a vocal assault. I have, that's a thing. You don't really get to drown people out and shriek into their ear. That's painful. That can damage your hearing. That's an assault, just like punching somebody in the face. Takia Sunrise. Amuse puts this out and says a male school bus driver in North Carolina. Let me look up Miss Sharon arrest. Let me see what we can learn about this. Make sure this is true. Arrest, North Carolina. Lee Twain Darrell Tate, a 48-year-old male bus driver from Charlotte, who went by the name Miss Sharon, or simply Sharon, was arrested by Charlotte Mecklenburg Police Department, facing multiple felony charges related to the SA of at least 4 teenage boys, aged 14 and 15. As a bus driver in Sugar Creek Charter School, they terminated his employment immediately after arrest, stating there's no evidence the misconduct occurred on campus or during work hours. 2 counts of statutory R, 6 counts of indecent liberties with a minor, 1 count of statutory S offense. Tate allegedly lured the victims to his home where they stayed overnight. One victim reported Tate offered money in exchange for S acts. Wow. Disturbing and alarming, yeah. All right, well, that is a real story that Amuse is reporting. If you got a dude dressing as a lady and driving your 14 and 15-year-olds around, know that North Carolina just set a precedent to have concern. Wow. Okay. A lot of these stories are ones I sort of expected might not be accurate, but they are. Clandestine says about Mayor Brandon Johnson, it's textbook legal definition of an insurrection. Chicago mayor says he signed up executive order to rein in the Trump admin and set up ICE-free zones. They are obstructing federal law enforcement. This is 1860s type of stuff right here. Bill Malugin says multiple law enforcement sources confirmed to Fox News that Chicago police officers were instructed by the chief of patrol to not respond to Border Patrol agents calling for help yesterday after they were reportedly surrounded by a large crowd of protesters following a ramming incident and shooting of an armed woman. They're being hung out to dry in Chicago. That's incredible. Matt Van Swell says the fact that the Democrat Party believes that endorsing someone who fantasizes about the M of his political opponent's children is better than letting a Republican win tells you everything you need to know about Democrats today. I don't know where we go from here. Students at, what school is this? Tweet DPS. Danvers, Massachusetts schools reportedly given an assignment that teaches white kids are racist and should feel guilty for their skin color. Shame on them. Libs of TikTok is told parents were fuming, so the school said they'll allow students to opt out of the lesson. This made the teachers union very mad. They want to teach white kids that they're racist. So now the union and teachers are organizing to protest the opt-out option. This is how desperate Democrats and activist teachers are to indoctrinate your kids to hate themselves. Goodness. Wall Street Apes shows this here, a state of Virginia making people pay taxes on their cars, trailers, campers, RVs, and boats every year based on their value. Every year paying taxes again, even if they're paid off. An assessed value, a rate per $100. Then they charge you per month that you own that item. It's paying an extra $2,100 each year to own her cars in the state of Virginia, separate from registration fees and tags. This is insanity. We've got to stop this shakedown. Unreal. Sonic the Hedgehog is pairing up with the Olympic Rings licensing collaboration. International Olympic Committee celebrating Olympic brand and Sonic the Hedgehog. Blue, yellow, black, green, red. And that's coming to America, so keep your eyes peeled. President Trump is talking about the enemies who are burning Portland to the ground.
Portland is burning to the ground. You have agitators, insurrectionists. All you have to do is look at the television, turn on your television.
Insurrectionists.
Read your newspapers. It's burning to the ground. The governor, the mayor, the politicians are petrified for their lives.
Mr. President,
and you have a judge like that, he ought to be that judge ought to be ashamed of him.
Governor, you say you're
Insurrectionists. The Insurrection Act is coming. It's not accidental. Trump and the admin are using the word frequently. Keep your eyes peeled for the Insurrection Act. The Insurrection Act of 1807 is the U.S. federal law that empowers the President of the United States to nationally deploy the U.S. military and to federalize the National Guard units of the individual states in specific circumstances, such as the suppression of civil disorder, of insurrection, and of armed rebellion against the federal government of the U.S. The Insurrection Act provides a statutory exemption to the Posse Comitatus Act of 1878 that limits the president's deploying the U.S. military to enforce either civil law or criminal law within the United States. You're calling for the Insurrection Act of 1807. What else? Stephen Miller says the one thing you haven't heard from Democrats in the midst of all their raving histrionics is telling the radical base to stop violently assaulting ICE agents. The doxing, murder threats, and violent attacks are soaring. Just days ago, a sniper tried to assassinate multiple ICE agents, 2 vehicle ramming attacks in one day. The list is endless. But instead of condemning the violence, they claim the domestic terrorism is provoked by the mere presence of federal officials adoring the moral frame and language of the paid insurrectionists. This because a federal judge halted President Trump's efforts to deploy National Guard troops to Portland in a late-night decision, ruling it unlawful and unconstitutional. Matt Walsh says we've long reached the point where Trump needs to openly defy these judges. Some random federal judge has no authority to decide how and if troops are deployed. She is not the commander-in-chief. Ignore her and deploy them. It's time for a showdown with these activist judges. What say you? Do you agree or disagree with Matt Walsh? Do you agree that it's time that Trump openly defy these judges because random federal judges do not have authority to decide how and if troops are deployed because they're not commander-in-chief? It's time for a showdown with the activist judges. This is Pete Hegseth giving you that quote that I read earlier.
Your diversity is not your strength. Your strength is your unity of purpose, your shared mission, your love of country. Your diversity.
That feels right. Was this 7.5 million permits and 17.5 jobless? 17 million Americans left behind. That's maybe 10. Kind of looking at this. Chase Cross, who serves as the executive board of the King County Young Democrats, recorded protesting with Antifa and shouting "Die in a fire" to a group of conservatives earlier this week in Seattle. He's seen unmasked here. Many Democrats work with violent Antifa members. Will Stansel says it's crazy that you have President's top advisors seeming to urge the unconstitutional removal of judges, the final step in the conversion of the U.S. to a dictatorship. And the political news class seems to regard it as less of a story than Biden being old. Kurt Schlichter says it is constitutional to impeach corrupt judges. Andrew Colvett says he partnered with Tech Trackers and says over 277,000 unique devices came in and around State Farm Stadium from all parts of the country because Charlie Kirk pointed us to Christ and his martyrdom gave us the courage to do the same. That's 277,000 people at least. That's a big number. Secret Service says they dismantled a network of more than 300 SIM servers and 100,000 SIM cards in the New York area that were capable of crippling telecom systems and carrying out anonymous telephonic attacks, disrupting the threat before world leaders arrived for the UN General Assembly. Ezra Cohen says, as bad as this seems, it's the tip of the iceberg in terms of the actions that the People's Republic of China have already taken against our country in preparation for a war that they believe is inevitable. We must wake up and defend our country accordingly. Prime Minister Orban of Hungary says he doesn't want to be tied to the EU any more closely than it already is. Introducing the euro into Hungary is not even on the table. And I think that's what I wanted to share with you today. Thank you all for being here on this Monday. Yes, hold the judges accountable, says Marion. Trash Panda agrees. Unholy Hoax agrees. I mean, Bukele, he knows about it as much as anybody else. If you have corrupt judges in place, you have to take care of it. And that might be the only reason why delaying all of the indictments unfortunately makes sense, because you have to clear out a bunch of the sludge first. There is a really dark plan in play, a really dark protocol that's been marching forward in this country for decades. But yeah, you get these random judges are the commander-in-chief, or are they not? I mean, there's only one commander-in-chief. It seems like that trumps all of these other things. That's what it feels like to me. But we'll be back tomorrow covering the news, seeing what else people are talking about. Might do Strictly Football tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern. Have to double check what time works best, but we'll do it as soon as we can. And yeah, might even do a show later. Might cover the Browns game. I know we were live during the game, so we said a lot of what needs to be said. But I know other people want to sound off. They want to get their thoughts in. So we'll see how it goes. But thank you to all the regulars and all the first-timers that watched today. Please hit like. Please hit subscribe. Do all of the things. We're on Patreon at The New American Media, Venmo, Cash App, Brian Engelman, and PayPal at Fuzz Installment. We also have Super Chats. Oh, let me tell you, we are only... Let's see how many hours away we are from being... where do we click? I got to go to another page here. I think I have to... That's weird that it's not... There we go. Okay, so we're trying to get our advertisements back on our YouTube channel. We are 521. We need 521 extra hours of content watched on our YouTube channel. So if you would be so kind as to maybe click on our YouTube channel for The New American Media and watch some extra hours of content on some extra devices, or while you're working on other things, having it playing in one room all day long, perhaps, getting caught up on our 2,000 videos. Once we get those advertisements back, you know, it makes a big difference. We used to get thousands of dollars from advertising, and we haven't had any in 6-7 years. It makes it tough to run a business when you can't monetize it. But we're pushing back. We're trying to rebuild the things that YouTube stole from us, and your support means the world in that regard. So We got our tip jar stuff at the bottom. And then if you would just consider going on YouTube and watching some extra videos, each extra hour watched is a penny in the wishing well. We need 521 pennies to get advertisements unlocked on YouTube, because we have super chats unlocked and memberships unlocked, which is good. We take those donations and pay current bills of things that people need from us. So your support means the world. Thank you for being here. 521 and 65 minutes rent. Oh, I know what that is. 5,000 to 600 minutes. How do you measure a year? Yeah, something like that. Well done. All right. Now I'm signing off. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you. I love you. And we'll talk to you again soon. Take care, everybody. See you soon. Peace.
Your guide to the truth. TheNewAmericanMedia.com.